You know what's a close second to the excitement I feel before the first day of training camp?
The excitement you feel before the first day of PAS.
How'd you guess that?
Just a wild guess. Dave was out there hitting everybody. Dave hit Elliott Shore-Parks. He hit Tim McManus. Got Kemsky a couple times.
Yeah.
Dave was really into the spirit of the practice.
The pads are on. It was a fun day.
It was.
Longest practice of the summer, lasted an hour and 45 minutes.
Was it the longest practice Nick's ever had?
I'd have to go back and check. I think he has had some this long.
It's close.
It's close. Yeah, it was a long practice. They got a lot of work in, so we have a bunch of observations coming up. It's also the last practice before the public practice on Thursday night. And you don't want to miss a special Q&A with me, Rube, and Barrett Brooks live from the Pepsi Plaza. Ask all your questions in person or virtually. That's Thursday at 4:45 p.m., streaming on NBCSportsPhiladelphia.com and all our social channels, presented by Team Toyota, proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles and official partner of the NFL. We're really looking forward to that. That's a fun thing we do every year.
It is, and we'll be in the Pepsi Plaza, it's called now, the former Head House Plaza. It's where all the bars and music and bands and concessions are before the gates of the stadium open on the north end, kind of facing the Philly Stadium. You can get in there early, and where we do our WIP pregame as well. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing everyone. Maybe we'll even see Jason Avant go into the dunk tank a few times.
That'd be great.
He said he wasn't doing it this year, but
oh man,
maybe he'll reevaluate.
Yeah, we'll ask him to do it because it was fun watching him in there.
It was.
I don't know if I mentioned it. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast. We're presented by Nissan. He's Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. I'm so excited. I'm Dave Zangaro. I'm so excited because
I'm
pads
so
are on
excited
today.
because I'm Dave Zangaro. I think that's what he just said.
Please don't cut that.
Yeah, it was a good day though.
It was a
Let's
good day.
talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Before we get into the nitty gritty of it, any big takeaways from the day?
That was a good day for the defense.
I thought it was relatively even, but I think the defense probably won it.
Little by little bit. I think we're starting to see some surprises finally. I think what is today, day 5?
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into some of those. But yeah, I think first padded practice is going to favor the defense. I think just because it's so different. I mean, it's really a whole different animal than just going in shirts and shorts.
And you think I'm excited about the first padded practice? They're really excited about it.
Yeah, they were. So it was a fun day. Let's get into the obs.
I will, but first I do want to mention we're at the part of training camp where I no longer know what day it is.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to tell the story?
Yeah. So we get an email about all these events happening Wednesday at the sports complex. And in my mind, Wednesday was today. I'm talking to Rube last night. We got to figure out how to get in and out of the office. It's going to be backed up. There's a day Phillies game.
Phillies game at 12:30.
There's a soccer game at night at the Link.
Which I read as 1:30, that it starts at 1:30.
I was like, it's going to be crowded down there. We got to figure this out. It took me until pretty far into today to realize that it was Tuesday.
Billy Hess told me he was going to the Phillies game tonight. I said, don't they play today? He's like, no, tomorrow's a day game.
And it's funny because I was telling other people that. I was talking to Ashlyn Sullivan, our colleague, and she's like, I'm doing Bird's Huddle tonight. I was like, oh, you better figure out how to get in there. I had to text her and be like, I'm sorry, I thought it was Wednesday.
We both did.
Yeah.
But
that tells you we're deep in the training camp and we no longer know what day it is.
Yeah, that's true. I'm kind of like that year round, but yeah.
Let's get to it. Oren Burks, Tyler Steen not practicing. Burks is missing a lot of time now. Tyler Steen missed his second day. Trevor Keegan, we mentioned he left practice early on Monday. He was back in a limited fashion. He has a shoulder injury, but he was in there on team drills. He looked fine.
Yeah, I think he's fine. Just being a little careful, but brought him along slowly. But yeah, he's fine.
Lane Johnson and Saquon Barkley back at practice. Saquon missed for a personal day. Lane with a toe injury, but both were back. And
did you see Lane in those gassers? Did you see him running gassers after practice?
No, I didn't catch that.
The O-line was running gassers. I mean, Lane was lapping people.
He's an athlete. He's just fast.
It was fun watching him.
Yeah, so I guess that toe's doing all right.
Yes, he's fine.
Now, the one thing we do have to watch, Landon Dickerson had to leave this practice with it looked like a leg injury. Maybe it was the toe again that he's been dealing with. We'll see. He tried to fight through it in an early team period, and then he tried to do one-on-ones, and he had to come out, and then he went to the tent for a little bit. He didn't go inside, which is probably a good sign. Went back to the sideline to watch, but I'll tell you what, it was a different offense with him not in there.
Yeah, I think the D-line was really happy to see him leave.
Yeah, and it was
especially
the rookie.
With Tyler. You have backup right guard as well.
Maybe.
So maybe.
Yeah. But you're right. I mean, both of the guys who they started camp with the guard were not in there.
Yeah.
So you had Mekhi Becton at at right guard and Trevor Keegan. No, Mekhi Becton at right guard, Trevor Keegan at left guard. Yeah.
You said that right.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's safe to say the DL took advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, it was a good day for the defensive line.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and it was like a slow burn a little bit. They really started to kind of take over the practice.
Yeah.
In terms of other depth chart stuff, on offense, John Ross got a bulk of the wide receiver 3 reps. We saw Johnny Wilson work in there a little bit more too.
Yeah.
So, coming into camp, I thought maybe Paris Campbell's just going to run away with this. They're going to give him every opportunity. Doesn't look like that.
No. Talked to Ross after practice. We'll get to some of that later. But, yeah. Well, nobody's really stood out yet. Nobody's really taken ownership of it, but nobody's been awful either.
Yeah. I wonder if no one takes ownership, I think if that happens and like they don't really have a guy, they're much more likely to go and get a guy.
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think Campbell's still in the lead, but we'll see. I mean,
who's in the lead?
Paris.
Oh, Paris Campbell.
Yeah. And then Covey's in there too. He's got a ton of reps.
Yeah, he's getting a ton of reps. The question I have about Covey is we heard Kellen Moore say he like by design, all the receivers in his scheme are interchangeable. They can play all the different positions.
He said he's getting reps outside, and he says I can play outside. Might not believe me. I mean, he's a slot.
Yeah, I mean the body type it's a tough play outside.
Sure.
And like the idea is you want to get like Devontae and AJ snaps inside, but when you do that, guess what? The slot guy has to go outside. I just don't know if the body type is.
But he catches everything.
Yeah, I've been impressed by him. I have.
We talked to him as well, so we'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah. On defense, just as we thought Keely Ringo was just grabbing a hold of this position, Isaiah Rodgers gets the first crack at the outside corner spot today.
Yeah, I was a little surprised to see him out there. Keely worked in later, but it was all Isaiah when they got started with the ones.
Yep. Quinyon Mitchell getting more first team nickel reps. Fascinating.
Yeah.
I mean, I still think he has a shot to win the starting outside job. There's a long way to go here, but if that doesn't happen, he's going to play.
Yeah, I think that's one thing we're learning. He's going to be on the field somewhere.
Yeah. Even if I think like there are different outcomes here. All of them lead to playing time. I think the top of the pecking order is he wins the outside corner job, doesn't leave the field. Then comes he's the nickel. He's on the field for, like 65, 70% of the snaps. And then below that is he's the extra defensive back in the dime package. He still gets on the field, maybe not as much, but in all three of those scenarios, he's on the field.
Yeah, and who knows? There could be scenarios where he's outside, and then in base, and then goes inside. I mean, I think they're going to look at everything.
Yeah, I mean that's not crazy to think.
Yeah,
if he surpasses, I mean it's a lot to put on a young player's plate, like to go snap to snap inside and outside.
Yeah,
but
if he's learning both of them, it's there. It's a possibility.
Yeah, we've seen other players do that before.
Yeah,
I like that. It's something I honestly hadn't thought about very much. We'll see. Linebacker still the same thing. Devin White, Zach Bond were out there first, but Nakobe worked in pretty quickly. I think that's all the real depth chart stuff, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Let's get into some of the actual.
I mean, you mentioned. I mean, Becton again at right guard with Steen. We don't know how long Steen will be out, but with each passing day, that Becton is the guy getting the ones, the reps with the ones.
Tell you what, it wasn't a great day for Mekhi Becton. He had a few good plays, but
it was up and down.
It was up and down. There were some plays where, he didn't look great. He's learning a new position, new sides.
So.
Yeah. But I still agree with you. I think as long as he stays in there, he'll get more comfortable, and that's a problem for Steen. The first play practice was a run play, which is right. That's all's right in the world. Run the football when it's first playing pads. You got to get it out of the way. You got to get the first hit out of the way. Saquon up the gut. Zach Bond met him there. It's funny, you're around football in the spring and then early training camp. Even just watching it, you need the first hit to oh yeah, this is football again. You feel that way?
No.
Okay.
But It's definitely different. It's a whole different class of practice.
Let's talk about CJ a little bit.
Yeah.
He had a great play. He kind of knifed through.
He's having a good camp.
We keep talking about the energy he brings and how much he's talking, and we should, because like that's a big part of who he is and what he's bringing. But he's playing well too.
Yeah, he is, and it's just fun to have him back. Talking about energy, I mean, he doesn't stop moving, dancing, jumping up and down. He was doing handshakes. Did you see the handshakes he's doing with BG?
It's so funny.
Yeah, he was doing a handshake with who else? BG. They had one. He had just like little handshakes with everybody. The BG one ended with both of them just jumping up in the air. I mean, BG's like 36. He's out there just cracking up. Yeah. I love what CJ brings. They were missing. They were missing him on the field, off the field, in the locker room, so many ways last year. It's great to have him back.
Yeah, and like the thing about him on the field is he's just so rangy. He's a playmaker.
Yeah,
and like that doesn't mean he's not going to give up some plays here and there, because he is. We haven't seen it in camp, but we know he's relatively new at the position still.
Sure.
Like that's kind of what we forget. He was just a first-time safety with the Eagles in 2022 after playing the nickel. He got hurt that year, so he missed time. Last year, he would have been a full-time starter in Detroit, but he missed most of the season.
He played 3 games.
Yeah, he came back in the playoffs and looked really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's still learning. So I think there will be growing pains, but you take a playmaker, and he's a playmaker.
Think about what they've added in the secondary since last year. I mean, obviously the 2 rookies. I feel like they added. I mean, obviously Isaiah Rodgers wasn't even sniffing first team reps. That's 5 guys. When Sidney gets back, I mean, he wasn't playing on defense early in the year. So it's going to be, other than Slay, it's going to be just, we'll see where, Bradbury's going to be your second team safety. I still don't believe it, but it's going to be a whole new secondary.
Yeah, Slay and Reed Blankenship.
And Reed, yeah. By the way, Slay's having a really good camp too. I don't know if we talk about him enough.
Yeah, he's coming up later in these obs, but I think it's because they don't throw at him.
They don't.
We just kind of forget he's there.
Yeah, he had a couple plays today though.
Yeah, he did.
Sorry to.
No, that's fine.
I like this next one though.
Well, the Fred Johnson play. Yeah. It was funny because like the defense is excited for the pads, but so is the offensive line because they want to hit someone too. Right. And it was kind of away from the play. It was like a slant to AJ Brown, and Fred he's blocking through the whistle, and he pancaked Zach Bond. Did he need to?
3 times. He pancaked him, then he went after him again.
Yeah, I think it was just a big guy ready to hit someone, and unfortunately for Zach Bond, he was in the way.
Yeah.
And it was very funny because Zach Bond got up like, "Whoa, what was that?" And you can see him like, "Who was that?" He goes and like kind of chases Fred down and gives him like a half shove in the back. At that point, I think he like thought better of it, but
I think Fred's got about 100.
Yeah, but at that point, like you've committed to it. You can't just not do anything.
Yeah.
So he like gave him a half shove. And Fred didn't even care. He just started laughing as he walked back
He did.
to the huddle. But tempers are going to flare a little bit when you have plays like that.
Yeah, it was funny to watch because I think, Zach came to his senses a little bit when he saw this massive, giant Fred Johnson. I don't think it would have been a flag in a game.
No, I
maybe
don't
the third
so.
time.
Yeah, it's a little much.
Depends when the whistle was too, but it was the closest we had to a fight. Usually, first day pads, you're going to have a few fights. Buddy used to say, "You got to want to fight."
Who's did we already do this? Most likely to get in a fight.
I like what you wrote in your obs. You said the odds are lower that there's going to be a fight since Derek Barnett's not on the team anymore.
Yeah, well, he was always the easy answer to this question.
I'm going to go.
He loved fighting.
I'm going to go CJ, GJ, and Goddard.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
There's
a little chippiness there.
Oh yeah, with CJ, like he's going to dish it out, and you're going to look like a punk if you don't say something back.
Right.
So
he knows how to get under your skin.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, I mean, there's plenty of tape on that.
Yeah.
I think that's CJ's the obvious choice there. Do you want to finish out defense and then talk about offense?
Sure.
Let's talk about one-on-ones. Now, were you watching 7-on-7s or the one-on-ones offense?
I was over by the 7-on-7s.
Okay, good. This is great, actually, because I can kind of tell you what I saw in the one-on-ones, and then you can fill me in the 7-on-7s.
I did get down to the one-on-ones at the end.
Okay, it's very tricky because when they're doing these kind of periods, you got to pick. So there was one point today where they're doing receiver, defensive back one-on-ones, offensive line, defensive line 2-on-2s, and a pass protection drill with the running backs and linebackers. I chose the 2-on-2s, which I shouldn't have because they were running stunts, and it's always tough to like really decipher.
Get a good angle too.
Yeah. And I should have watched linebacker running backs just to see Saquon do it.
Yeah.
And because I didn't get much out of the 2-on-2s, but the 1-on-1s were really good. And Jalen Carter, we mentioned him earlier. He threw Mekhi Becton out of his way. Mekhi Becton is 360, 370 pounds. And the ease with which Jalen Carter tossed him, it's just unbelievable. And Jalen Carter makes plays like this every day.
Yeah.
He did it last year too. It's why, like, normally the veterans are so hesitant to give a rookie props. They don't want to inflate his ego or get him thinking he's made it. But last year, even the veterans were like, all right, this guy's got something.
Yeah.
And he's doing it again this year.
Yeah. I wasn't over there for that, but I've seen him do it before. And he's super human.
Yeah. It's just shocking to see Mekhi Becton get tossed.
Yeah.
Like, even if Mekhi Becton was the worst football player in the world, which he's not, but even if he was, he's still 365 pounds. It's like, it's incredible to just toss him like a rag doll. And that's exactly what he did. There were some other 1-on-1 performances. Marlon Tuipulotu got good push on Brett Toth, just moved him back. Tuipulotu's a guy we don't talk about a ton, but probably on the roster.
Probably
on the roster. Nolan Smith dipped under Anim Dankwa. I know, like, the Anim Dankwa is not like a household name, but the dip is the dip, and it's
the Dankwa.
It's a flash play from Nolan.
That's what he's doing last year.
Yeah, so it's like, it's good to see. Take it with a grain of salt because he did it last year, but the pure athleticism, it's there. It's certainly there. Great rep from Cam Jurgens against Jordan Davis. Got low on him, rerouted Jordan, which is not easy once he gets a head full of steam. I liked it. It was a good play. That's just about the only one I had. Oh, the other one it wasn't even like a very notable rep in what happened, but Brandon Graham took an inside 1-on-1 rep. If Nolan Smith and maybe like Jalix Hunt or whoever else is the edge players of the starters play more, you might see a little bit of Brandon Graham inside this year.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to find some way to use him 10, 12 snaps a game, so that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. How about 7-on-7s? What'd you see?
Excuse me.
Yeah, you're good. Over on that side of the field, I heard there was a lot of Quinyon Mitchell against AJ Brown.
Yeah, and the kid battles, and I really like what he doesn't back down. I think that's the first thing you look for from. I mean, you're going up against. It's early to call AJ a Hall of Famer, but that's the track he's on.
At the very least, he's one of the best receivers in the league.
Yeah, and he made a couple plays. He had a nice knockdown of one on the left sideline. He was never out of position when AJ called him. Quinyon was right there. It was fun to watch. It was good competition. You just don't see that with a rookie and a established all-pro type guy like AJ. It was good action.
That's fun. And there was one the other day where Quinyon's right in his grill. I think it was a 1-on-1, and AJ kind of slipped, and Quinyon's trying to like step over him to catch. Still no interceptions in training camp, by the way.
Yeah,
not one.
Interesting.
There were some close ones today.
Will Greer really wants to throw that first one. I mean, I don't think he got a rep today, but I think he's dying to throw it. But
it's pretty deep in the camp not to have a pick.
Yeah, it's true. Jalen threw a bunch last year, didn't he? Early.
I don't remember.
Not a bunch, but yeah, he had a few by now. But it's just such a joy to watch actual cornerback, wide receiver, elite play, and not like, all right, AJ's going up against. I don't want to say a name, but yeah, some of the guys who've been around here. It's just good competition every rep.
And it's funny because, like, I'm thinking back to 2016. There was good competition because the level was like similar, but it wasn't a high level.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like you see some good battles and you're like, I don't know what I'm watching though, because I think they're even, and that's why this is fun, but this is even because they're all really good. And that's a different animal.
Yeah. No, you can definitely sense that it's a higher level of back and forth, and it's fun to watch.
I have a few other defensive plays, and then we can break down some of the offense. I thought Jeremiah Trotter had a really nice play in the middle of the field. Kind of met Tyrion Davis-Price, popped him, which is a question with Trotter's not the biggest guy, but Davis Price is big. He's like 220 pounds. So to see Trotter get up there and meet him and kind of stop his progress was encouraging. And Trotter, like, he's not the biggest guy, but he's built well, like lower body. I don't know how to say this tactfully, but got some butt to him. Like, good base. You know what I mean? Like, that stuff matters when
Tom Heckert used to say he's got a thick lower.
Yeah, okay. That sounds better. Decently thick lower. The makeup there matters.
Yeah.
So that was a nice little thing. I think he's looked pretty good.
He's having a decent summer. I
Yeah.
give the kid credit. This is not an easy position for him. And he's handling it fine.
Mm-hmm. Isaiah Rodgers had another pass breakup.
Yes.
Probably wasn't a perfect throw from Jalen Hurts to AJ, but Rodgers has ball skills. He has a knack for getting his hand on the football.
He sure does. And just when we thought that competition might be over, he comes, and every time he gets reps with the ones, he makes the most of them.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Slay, pass breakup. Finally, a ball gets thrown to him, and he's just right there. I think it was Devontae just all over him.
Yeah, that's good on good right there.
Did you know that iron sharpens iron? Have you ever heard that?
I've heard that. I have heard that mentioned. Slay's still, I think he's had a really good camp. Like you say, he doesn't get a bunch of balls thrown his way, but man, he's always right there. Even when the ball's not coming his way, his coverage has been great. He doesn't look like he's slowed down at all.
No.
So yeah,
at some point he will.
At some point he will, but man, and it could be this year. Obviously, practice is different than games. He's got some really good receivers he's going to be working against, but I like what I've seen from him. He looks faster than last year. He wasn't healthy last year.
Sure.
Yeah.
The only other two defensive notes I had, we mentioned the defensive line in general, like they were starting to take over the practice, but I really liked there was a batted pass from Milton Williams and a batted pass from Jordan Davis. A batted pass from Jordan Davis. I like those plays because it's good recognition when you're not going to get to the quarterback. Throw a hand up. Used to cover J.J. Watt, and that was something he was so good at, just getting in a throwing lane when you have some length to you. Throw a paw up there. You can deflect the pass. Maybe it gets picked off. And the Jordan Davis one almost did.
Yeah. I didn't see the Jordan Davis one. The Milton Williams one was a really nice play by that kid. But, yeah, you're looking for the defense to make a play there as far as the interception.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to have the first interception at camp?
I mean, Isaiah Rodgers, the way he's around the football, is probably a good bet. I'd go with Isaiah Rodgers.
Okay, I'm going to go Reed.
That's always a good guess. He's someone who has had a lot of picks in the league. And if we're talking like batted footballs, he could be a recipient of one of those.
Yeah. All right, we got a little weight.
Side bet. What do you want to bet on that?
How about an iced tea from the Concourse Pavilion lunch downstairs?
Okay, I like that. Does it have to be iced tea?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
Offense. My favorite play of the day from the offense was, and it was a lot of red zone today.
Yeah.
Which is fun. Red zone days are always good, especially when you're in the end zone they're coming toward. You know what I do in that end zone?
What do you do?
Before every play, I see where everyone's lined up, and then I look around me, make sure I have room to escape.
To get out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people will try to talk to you and they get too close. I'm like, I need an escape plan.
Yeah.
I'm not losing the kneecap here.
Yeah. A little pro tip, if you're at practice, Dave and I love chatting with fans and people. Just when they're live, when the play is live,
oh yeah,
just stay away.
Yeah, yeah, you don't want to get hurt.
Yeah,
yeah. And we've seen it can happen.
Yeah,
yeah. And these are big guys,
and fast, and they get there faster.
You
than
see them in person, and all of a sudden they're
And there's a reason that people aren't allowed past that
mm-hmm.
that one line. It gets a little dicey in there.
Yeah. So the best Jalen Hurts play today, pressure on him pretty quickly, which was a theme of the day.
Yeah.
But just navigated it so well in the pocket, kept his eyes up, looking downfield. Kenny Gainwell scoots free. He steps up on the run, throws a bullet right at the helmet. Gainwell pulls it in the end zone for a touchdown. Just classic Jalen Hurts play, a play that he doesn't make as a rookie.
Right.
He takes off and he tries to run toward the goal line and everyone holds their breath. That's what makes him special.
That was a really sweet play. He rolled out to his left and his eyes were up the whole time. And Gainwell has a knack for getting open.
He got Velcro for hands too.
Yeah, he's got good hands. All these backs do.
Well,
not Tyrion, but the top three guys do, certainly. Shipley, man, some of the plays he's made in the receiving game. But yeah, that was an impressive, man. That was a really impressive rep because I thought he was going to take off and run.
And all of a sudden, it's a bullet.
Yeah, he fired it on the move. Fired it on the move across his body, rolling to his left, and he fired it. And it kind of reminded me of that. Remember that pass that he fired to Miles in the corner of the end zone, or was that Carson?
That was Carson
in 20
against Washington.
Yeah, never mind. But he fired it from close range.
Yeah,
like it was man, I forgot about that guy. It was a cool play. It's definitely play of the game, play of the day. Wasn't a game.
Yeah, on offense for sure.
Yeah.
There were some other good plays. I didn't even mention in my notes. I thought Saquon had a really nice jump cut early in practice. He has some wiggle to him there. Any other offensive plays? I'm looking through my notes now. Not really. I mean, mostly it was. I thought it was a better defensive day. There was one play that we should mention. They were in the red zone again. Ran some jet motion pre-snap. Defensive line shifts. Hurts. It's a QB keeper sprint through the vacated gap there, and big play. Then the very next play, Saquon runs behind a pulling Jordan Mailata, who had a really good day run blocking.
Yeah.
And follows him right into the end zone for a touchdown.
Yeah, and he looked very quick and limber and powerful on that one. It's fun to see him moving around.
Jordan or Saquon? Jordan, yeah.
Yeah. Well, both of them.
Yeah. You could have been talking about either one there.
Yeah.
Jordan is really good as a run blocker. Just exceptional as a run blocker. And that's what makes him one of the best tackles in the league because, he's such a dual threat tackle. He's very good at both areas. Some tackles are really like better at one or the other.
Right.
You can run behind Jordan.
Yeah. Yeah. He's due to make a Pro Bowl. I mean, he's good enough.
He's good enough. Yeah. I think he's Pro Bowl talent caliber right now. It's just sometimes it takes a little while. And there are really good tackles in the NFC.
Certainly.
I mean, one of them's on his team.
True.
And it's tough to take two tackles from one team.
True.
Yeah. But he's definitely worthy.
Yeah.
That's all I had. There were a couple of drops today. Tyron Davis-Price.
Guy.
Yeah. Not great when all the other running backs are really showing what they can do catching the football, and you drop two more. CJ Uzama had another drop.
One was Tyrion Davis, and one was Tyrion Price. So two different guys. Yeah. Oh yeah, he's had a few.
He really looks like he's fighting the football.
Yeah, he does.
Even a catch he had yesterday, like he hit it and caught it on the second bounce.
Yeah,
like,
he double caught it.
For a guy who's caught a lot of passes in the league, I'm surprised his hands aren't better.
Did Uzama make your stock down?
Yeah,
he did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair.
He did.
It's disappointing.
And he was someone who I thought was gonna just take the tight end 2 job, and he isn't.
No, Calcaterra's pretty much got that wrapped up as of now.
Anything I missed from today's practice?
No, you covered it all right here.
My stupid observation of the day, if you're wondering, really funny moment, halfway through practice, I see Cam Jurgens call over an equipment guy. He had a long black t-shirt under his jersey, and the equipment guy had scissors, and they cut the bottom half of it off. So then Cam's belly's just hanging out. And I was like, man, that looks familiar. Guy was 62 used to do that.
He did.
And me and Shil Kapadi were joking that that was Jason's advice. He called him over, got one thing I want to pass down to you.
Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me.
That's all. It was a good day of practice. It was a lot of fun. And hopefully it's a good day on Thursday night.
Yeah. And Thursday, they won't have pads on over there. They never do. It's kind of a weird practice. It's kind of for show more than,
you know what I do like about it though? When they do their the jamboree and they have a competitive period.
Yeah.
Spuds is over there. Dave Spadero's over there narrating the practice for everyone.
Yeah.
So we actually get to hear what's going on in the competition. Sometimes I'm trying to hear Nick Sirianni through the megaphone. I can't make it out.
Yeah. He's pretty loud on a megaphone.
Yes, did you hear him give Harold crap today?
No.
It was very funny. At the end of practice, I think it was Mekhi Garner broke up a pass, and Harold must have been clapping, and Harold Carmichael, obviously.
There's only one. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not Harold Jackson.
I just want to make sure. But Nick is on the megaphone. Harold, you're an offensive guy. You can't clap for a defensive play.
It was alumni day, so a lot of former players over there. It was good to see. One of our biggest supporters, Clay Harbor, was there.
I didn't get a chance to talk to Clay. Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
How's he doing?
He's doing great. He's going to finish his MBA in the next.
Oh wow, good for him.
Next couple months, and yeah, he's doing great.
Yeah, it is cool. You mentioned it before, but I love seeing all the old players there.
Yeah, well, there's more of them that yeah. I've covered more than
that's
is what I'm saying. So yeah, some of the guys, I'm like, who is this again? Somebody introduced me to Brett Brackett, and I'm like, how do I know that name? I don't even know.
Brett Brackett, he was a tight end, right?
Brett Brackett, he was a tight end. How do you remember that?
I covered him.
He never. Where?
Here.
He never got in a game here.
Yeah, but he was on the team. I think he wore 84.
He must have been in training camp in 14.
After that was when I covered. He must have come back because I wasn't covering the team.
Oh, he's from Mercer County.
Okay.
Lawrence High School, Penn State. Born in New Brunswick. So yeah, Jersey guy. I don't remember him. I mean, I remember the name, but I could have told you what position he played.
Yeah.
Brett Brackett.
All right, let's take a break. We have a lot more on the other side.
You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, we got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself and shop your local Nissan store at nissanusa.com today.
Celebrity cook Steve Martorano brings his Italian-American cooking back home to Philly. Enjoy Martorano's Prime at Rivers Casino and Steve's famous meatballs with Sunday gravy, prime steaks, and more. Make reservations at Martorano's Prime on Open Table.
My apologies. Brett Brackett wore 85 with the Eagles.
You never get that stuff wrong either. It's shocking.
Yeah. I had a weird pull today. What was it? Oh, man.
Oh, Carrie Spear.
Carrie Spears. Yeah. Murder leg.
Murder leg. Yeah, because we're going back up to Foxborough for joint practices. And it was the last time we had joint practices up there. There's like a hill behind the goalpost, and we're all sitting on the hill watching practice. And then Murderley gets up to kick some field goals, and he had no idea where those balls were going. And we all scattered. Like, we were afraid of getting hurt because they were low line drives. They were going like under the goalpost. And yeah, he got cut the next day.
Yeah, makes sense.
Murderley.
All right. We talked to a bunch of players after practice today, and we talked to Michael Clay before practice. Michael, we got into the weeds a little bit.
Way deep.
With Michael Clay. It was fun, though. It's kind of this new kickoff rule is like a really big question mark. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe like we just end up with touchbacks and no one really does it. But there's a chance it really adds like significant plays to games, and no one really knows what to expect. And that's including Michael Clay.
Yeah, it was really interesting to talk to him. I learned a lot. He said they watched 400 kickoffs from what's in the league, the UFL, XFL. I can't keep these legs straight, but they watched 400 kickoffs from that league to get ideas of how people handled it, how they handled it on both sides. They studied it. That's
like the closest rule to this one, but he did mention that not the exact same rule, so you also have to be careful.
Right. Covey was fascinating talking about it. He's such a brain.
Yeah, he's put a lot of thought into it.
Yes, and he puts a lot of thought into everything. I love talking to him, but what a football mind. I mean, if he wants to coach, I mean, nothing will stop him from that. But yeah, it's going to be fun. And he even said, we're looking forward to the game Thursday night. I almost said tomorrow night. Hall of Fame game is Thursday night. Tomorrow's Wednesday. And just seeing what it looks like. It'll be the first time we've seen it on the NFL level. He said, we'll just be watching and see. And it's going to be. I think it's going to be a work in progress as the season progresses. I can't wait to see how it evolves.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really knows what to expect, and I think teams are going to have different strategies. And I think a lot of it is proprietary. The Eagles certainly. I mean, they haven't practiced it in front of us.
No.
They're practicing it. Like they're clearly doing it in walkthroughs. They're talking about it in meetings.
Sure.
But they're not doing it in front of us. I don't want us to see it and report it. They don't want fans to sneak out their phone and take a video of it.
Sure.
And I get that. Like, as much as I make fun of Nick Sirianni sometimes for the competitive advantage, I think this one is real.
I think this is a case where, I wouldn't show it either.
Because not only could it hurt if you play that team, but like, you don't want to get your secrets out and then everyone's successful at it if it works.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see soon enough. But it's fascinating to have, and the NFL tweaks rules every year, but this is pretty big.
Significant change. It's trying to just bring life to a play that was pretty dead.
Yeah. So I'm really curious to see what it looks like. I assume I'll be watching Thursday night, although that might be the first day of Olympic track. So it might, preseason football might have to wait. But yeah, I can't wait to see what it looks like and who the Eagles have in there. I know Michael Clay has spent a ton of time and his staff, all those guys, Joe Panunzio and Tyler and everybody spent a ton of time on it. And I mean, without really telling us anything, he talked about it for about 20 minutes today.
Yeah.
It was really interesting to hear. He'd only go so far with the information, but he kind of talked more about the process.
Yeah, which is understandable.
Yeah, but it was fascinating to hear.
Yeah, I asked him, because the special teams coaches community is pretty close knit. Like, he has good friends. They talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I was wondering if like this is just a no to talk about, but he said there are people you can trust, especially if you're not playing them this year.
Yeah.
So he said there are some conversations like that going on.
Yeah, or what did he say? Unless you might not play him until the last game of the season.
Yeah.
If you get there, I don't think it really matters at that point.
Could you imagine that though? Like a team returns a kick for a touchdown. You're like, I shouldn't have told him that. I guess by then they would have figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. But
I mean, like 90% of the questions of Michael Clay were about it.
Were there any that weren't?
Yeah, he was asked just like in general, which
you asked about Rick Lovato and how he's grown as a.
I did not.
All right.
After practice, were you there for Quinyon?
I was not.
I wasn't either. Okay, we'll have to go back and listen to the first round pick. It was tough because there were a bunch of guys talking at once.
Yeah.
But you were there, Britton Covey.
Yeah. And I mean, the main topic with him was just how many reps he's getting as a receiver. And he said he's really confident in himself. He said, one day I'm going to tell my kids I backed up Devontae Smith. He really believes he can do it. He's got a lot of reps. I don't think he's dropped the ball. He's really confident. He talked about studying different slot guys.
Other small white guys.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Danny Amendola and was it Austin Collie?
He mentioned Austin Collie, Cole Beasley. Danny Amendola was on the Eagles briefly. He was in the practice squad. And then the Rams signed him and Brandon Gibson like the same day. But anyway, he said he just studied those guys. And Beasley played for Kellen Moore. So he said that way I could see a guy with similar skill set to me playing in his offense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, I mean, he's going to do everything he can do to maximize his chances as a small, relatively slow
he's quick though.
Receiver. He's quick. He was walking off the podium and I asked him something that Mike Quick had mentioned to me, that punt returning and slot and running out of the slot are very similar as far as
like getting your blocks set up.
Yeah, just how you start the just your vision and he agreed. He said that's definitely true. It definitely gives me an advantage because it's a really similar thing. But
and you see him return punts and how good he is with the ball in his hands, and you think, like maybe if you could get that kind of production from a receiver spot, like it makes some sense.
I didn't know he's friends with Puka Nacua.
Oh, I didn't either.
He and Puka's brother are like best friends.
Oh,
And so they worked out, and somebody asked him, what did you two learn from each other? He said Puka didn't learn anything from me. It was pretty funny, but he's a real student of the game, and I think he's been targeted more than any receiver since camp started, if you include first, second team, third team.
you might be right.
And he's caught everything. So I still think it's a long shot. And he said something really interesting too. He said, when you're on an offense with Devontae and AJ and Dallas and Saquon, you have to do something different than they all do. And he said, I think I can do that just because of his skill set, and really confident kid. He said 80% of his offseason was focused on being a receiver. He said as a punt returner, there's only so much more you can do. So he really focused on becoming a better receiver. And he said by the end of last year, he was getting some reps. I think that was more because of injuries. AJ was hurt. AJ didn't play in the playoff game, but man, he thinks he can do it.
And I'll tell you what, he has the respect of those top two receivers.
Yeah.
Like, they don't view him as a punt returner.
Yeah.
Like, he's a part of that room. He has been, because they see the work he puts in. They see what he can do in practice.
And the toughness.
Yeah. Like, I can tell you, AJ Brown certainly respects the heck out of that guy.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see. There's a lot of question marks there, but he's in the mix.
Mm-hmm. I talked to Milton Williams a little bit, and I liked that he didn't pretend he didn't know it was going to be a contract year for him, like some guys do.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not even contract year. He's like, yeah, like I know, like of course I know. I think about it. Like, this is an opportunity for me, and I want to make the most of it. So I appreciate the honesty, because of course, like anyone who's going into a contract year who hasn't been paid yet, like really paid yet in this league, is thinking about it.
Calcaterra said the exact same thing.
Good.
He was asked about this year. So I'm in year 3 of 4-year contract. Yeah, it's a big year for me. These guys all know, obviously.
Yeah.
They know what's at stake.
And Milton's going to have a big role.
Yeah.
He is. He said he's doing a lot of boxing.
So did Calcaterra.
Oh, yeah?
Maybe they've been fighting each other.
I'd take Milton in that.
Well, Calcaterra's probably quick.
And Milton's pretty quick.
Yeah.
A lot bigger.
He's bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun to hear what guys do in the offseason. I know a lot of defensive linemen do like martial arts to get their hands quick.
Yeah.
But Milton said like boxing's great because it works. Your conditioning is number one, but then it works your feet and your hands. He said it really helped him.
Did you ever cover like a big time Atlantic City heavyweight championship fight?
No.
It's pretty wild.
I would like that. I like boxing.
I covered like Spinks Cooney, I think Tyson Spinks, Tyson, like gosh, Spinks Holyfield was that I covered a bunch of those, and it's incredible because the fights don't even start till like 11:30, like the main event. So you have no shot at getting anything in. These are newspaper days, deadlines. And then they would end, and there'd be the press conference, and then that would be at like 1, and then the party starts. Jeez. And at some point, somebody hands you a coupon for a party. Party starts at 2 and goes to like 7.
Gosh.
And you're talking about like 40 food stations, 10 open bars, a band playing. It's like, yeah, it's a good thing to cover.
Did I ever tell
and
you?
Then you go get like 2 hours sleep and then you start writing.
Did I ever tell you one of the coolest, and cool is a weird term used for it, but things I ever covered was Joe Frazier's funeral.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I covered that for us actually, and it was just like boxing royalty showed up to this church. Yeah, talked to Don King that day. Muhammad Ali was like From Me to You, which was like seeing a god in front of me.
Sure.
Yeah, it was. It's all these. George Foreman stopped and talked to me for a little bit.
The great thing about boxing is that these guys are so accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I remember when Michael Spinks said he was supposed to fight Tyson if Tyson beat somebody, and Tyson won the fight, and Spinks was just ringside. I just went up to and interviewed him for like 20 minutes. And and his manager was a Butch, who's the guy who wore the tux without the shirt? Butch Lewis, like a super flamboyant guy. like whoever you needed to interview, they would get them for you. It was a little different than training camp.
I wish I kept the recording, but Don King that day was talking to me about the Thrill in Manila for like 20 minutes. I'm outside of this church in the city. Don King talking to me in like rhymes, like about it was unbelievable. Yeah. We are way off the rails.
Well, Grant Calcaterra did his entire presser in rhymes today.
You know what I can reveal? My Surviving Camp series.
Yes, finally.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I looked over, you were talking to him. We were talking to John Ross at the time, like 10 feet away, and I saw you and your subject and the PR girl, and I feel bad, I don't know her name, but you were all just laughing hysterically.
Yeah. Jalix Hunt is this year's subject, which it'll change the tone of the series a little bit. If you guys aren't familiar, I do this every summer, and I kind of check in with a rookie throughout training camp just every week and kind of see what's new with them, how they're getting through it. And normally it's like with the end is like, are they going to make the team or not? Obviously, Jalix Hunt's going to make the team. He was a 3rd-round pick, so there won't be that drama to the end of it. But he's such a fascinating guy with such a unique story that I think it'll be really fun.
Yeah.
And he has such a fun personality that I'm already enjoying doing it. So I hope people enjoy reading it.
So when can we look for the first installment?
First one will be out Wednesday morning.
Yeah. And that's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow. If you're listening to this, there's a good chance it's already out.
Interesting. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to that. I always enjoy reading those.
Yeah, they're fun. Anyone else? What were
you laughing at? You probably don't remember. Well, we'll find out when we read it.
Yeah, it's an anecdote that will make the story for sure because it was good.
Good.
Anything else? Do you talk to John Ross real quick?
Yeah, just savoring every moment. He said he feels like he's rusty still. He said, 2 years. It's like you can like simulate a lot of things, but you just can't simulate football shape. And he said he's not there yet. He said it's a little frustrating because he said, look, I'm still fast. And he said Isaiah Rodgers still wants to race him. I don't think Isaiah Rodgers is going to beat him. Might be close. Might be close, but I like John Ross. But he said it. Everyone knows I'm fast, but I don't feel football fast right now. I'm still working my way back. I think he's looked okay.
It's good self-awareness, though.
Yeah, I think so. Really bright guy. I talked about his son had his first day in pads yesterday. His son's in 2nd grade. He's in California, and he said, like I get on the phone with him, and he's like, "How was practice, Dad?" I was like, "It was good. Yeah, I had a good practice too. Okay, I'll see you later." He's like, "Well, no, wait." I was like, he's already at the point where 30 seconds is all I'm going to get, but it's hard. His family's on the West Coast. Yeah. He said he flew out and threw with Jalen during the off season. Just him and Jalen. He said, I got to get a comfort level with him. So he flew from California to wherever Jalen was at that point, probably in
Houston,
Alabama or Houston or something. But he said that really helped, just building up some trust. I'll tell you what, you said this after we talked to him in the spring. I mean, he's an easy guy to root for. He hasn't played in 2 years, hasn't really played in 4 years. 1st-round pick. He said, I just love the game. I just love being around the game. It's not for money at this point. And usually when someone says it's not for money, it is for money. But I think he really is enjoying being around the game. He said, I'm enjoying just being in the locker room more than anything, just being with the guys. I haven't had that in so long.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
We'll see how he does.
Yeah.
Bunch of questions here.
Yeah.
And if you want to send a question, we have this handy dandy email address, eagleeye@nbcuni.com. If you're watching on YouTube, you can get that QR code and send it right from your phone. We'll start with Thomas from Williamsburg. I love listening to your insights on our beloved birds. Do you think that Kendall Milton will be able to make the roster as a change of pace back like Blunt was to Clement and Ajayi in 2017?
I think it's going to be tough for Kendall Milton in that room. He's another Georgia guy, right?
Yeah, I think it's an uphill battle, but you're right. Like he's definitely a bigger back. The pads just went on, so if he's gonna start to do it, like now's the time.
Yeah, and there's always a practice squad. There's like 15 spots on there, so I think out of that second group, I mean, you see Lou Nichols out there, who I think was on the practice squad last year.
Mhm.
I mean, there's going to be a running back, maybe 2 on the practice squad. So he's a young guy. He's 22.
Big guy, runs kind of high.
Yeah. Is it 220?
I've noticed
6'1",
that.
220.
Yeah.
But certainly going to be getting a lot of run in the preseason games, and we'll see how he does.
Yeah, and he was kind of on my radar before camp, just someone to watch, especially in the preseason games. Next one from Nick. Number 25 should be retired for Tommy McDonald, and I will be okay if Shady was included. What are the Eagles waiting for?
Yeah, you get a lot of questions about retiring numbers. It's hard to retire numbers because, first of all, the NFL has to approve it. Like, you can't just say we're retiring a number. You have to justify doing it. And there's just not that many numbers. And like 25 is kind of semi-retired.
They haven't given it out.
Shady hasn't texted me yet. He usually texts me during camp. Yeah, who's got 25? But
It's a very Shady thing, and I love that.
yeah. I mean, the Eagles have more Hall of Famers than retired numbers. So it's not like, it's just, you just got to be careful doing it. And it's for the best of the best. So we'll see what happens. I don't want. And has any team ever retired a number for 2 people?
I don't know. Yeah, it's normally if someone's good enough to get it retired, they do it.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it is kind of weird to me that but what are you going to do?
Yeah. I think Shady might be a Hall of Famer. I did a lot of research. I did a thing in my 10 obs about a month ago. I did 10 reasons he's a Hall of Famer, like just looking at numbers basically compared to other Hall of Famers. I mean,
and I think the only fair way to do it is like judge him with players of his era.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's kind of the opposite of receivers because running backs, like nobody's doing what he did anymore. Like 1,000 yards every year. It just doesn't happen. With receivers, like the numbers are devalued now, where backs, they probably look better.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
But I mean, 11,000 rushing yards and 500 catches and a 4.6 average doesn't happen. So I don't think he'll get in, but I'd vote for him.
Okay. Next one from Bob.
Had nothing to do with the question.
Guys, enjoy your podcast greatly.
Thank you.
Was wondering what you thought of our DT depth. Milton Williams in his contract year, as is Tui Pelotu, and seeing as they weren't re-signed, they must not think that much of either of them. A problem this year? Maybe a draft need in 25? Keep up the good work.
It's a little thin.
I think it is a little thin. It's a position just by pure numbers is thin. By depth, I think you can say it's thin. They don't have like a true backup nose tackle.
Right.
Yeah, and as far as Milton not being re-signed, I think that they would re-sign Milton. He said today that like at some point his representatives did have contact with the Eagles, but he didn't want to get into all that. So I think there's interest there.
Yeah.
I think for his sake, he's probably better off playing this out.
Yeah. I mean, it depends what kind of money they're offering him. But bottom line is, I wouldn't be surprised if Howie adds at that position over the next 6 weeks.
Back in the spring, I was saying Calais Campbell's out there, and then he got signed.
Yeah.
But like a player, like a veteran, just to like a kind of a Contavious Street level.
Sure.
Player.
He was playing significant snaps before they traded
it's like
him.
a body there.
Yeah. And I mean, when you look at Fletcher's snaps, what did he average? 45 snaps a game last year? You got to replace that. And if somebody's hurt or banged up, it's not going to be easy.
Next question from Bill. Do you think the tush push will be as effective since Jason Kelce has retired?
I remember talking to Kelce about this late last year. He said, if teams think that we're going to suck at the goal line when I retire, they're wrong. He said the tush push will still be effective, but he said, we'll score. Like, we'll find other ways to score. Like when you have Jalen, and now, that was before Saquon signed. Yeah. Saquon had 10 touchdowns 2 years ago, so he can score. I think they might not be 90, whatever they were, from the 1 yard line, whatever percent it was on 4th and 1 or 4th and goal.
It was really funny last year. There were some like third downs where they didn't get it, and then they got it on 4th down, and it hurt their average. Right. But you're like, well, it didn't really hurt their average.
The average should be percentage of drives.
Yeah.
Possessions. I think they're still going to be really good at it. I mean, the whole key is Jalen and his legs and the O-line.
I don't think they'll be as good, honestly.
I don't think they'll be quite as good, but I think they'll be close.
Okay.
I think they'll still be one of the better teams.
I think Kelsey's a really big key to it.
He was. Yeah. But I think Jalen's a big key to it too.
Mm-hmm.
And with those legs, they're like tree trunks.
Yeah. I would go higher percentage Kelsey than Jalen, though.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Yep. Next one is from Alistair from England.
Alistair. Let's call him. I think he's got to be Sir Alistair. Sounds like a sir.
My question is about receiver depth. Is there an NFL team with a greater disparity between receiver 2 and receiver 3 than the Eagles and tight end 1 and the rest? I think the Eagles can play bully ball a bit, but they need that extra something in the catching department. What are your thoughts on Julio coming back? Because I feel like he could be the best number 3 in the league if there is such a thing. And what is left in tight end market?
Well, yeah. I don't think. I mean, Julio's what, 36 now?
36. I don't think he'd be the best 3 in the league. He wasn't the best 3 in the league last year.
He wasn't the best 3 on the team. No, I guess he was.
Probably was.
But it sounded good. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this. I think it's more likely at receiver that they add somebody. If John Ross and Paris Campbell and Covey can, if one of them can separate from the others and show that he's going to be a decent 3, then how he's not going to make a move just to make a move. I still think it's more likely that he will than he won't. Tight end, I think they're going to run with
they're going to
Calcaterra.
stick with what they have.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think receiver, they'll make a move, not tight end.
Yeah, I would agree. But I do think it's possible they don't at receiver. And we'll see how it goes.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think any of those guys have, well, out of those 2, Ross and Cam, I don't think either one's been great, but I don't think either one's been awful. I just need to see more.
I need one of them to step up and take the job. If that doesn't happen, I think they need to get someone.
I agree. Today's day 1 pad. So,
and ultimately, it might be a better thing for the team if that doesn't happen. And it forces them to go out and get a wide receiver.
It's a matter of who's out there, too.
Mm-hmm.
So, if it's really an upgrade, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Next one from James. I discovered the podcast after last season's Chiefs game and haven't missed one since. Thanks for that. Question. For a team with a week 5 bye to reach the Super Bowl, assuming they do not win the number 1 seed, they must play 16 straight games and win the last 3. How onerous of a task do you consider this to be? Do the Eagles really need to be in a mindset where they must win the conference in order to make a Super Bowl appearance?
Teams have done it. Ideally, you'd like to get that bye. I still hate the 1 bye per conference. Just don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
It puts such a premium on the 1 seed and really devalues the 2 seed too much, I think. But yeah, you can do it. And maybe you're in a position where you've clinched the 2 seed and you don't have to play the last game. You don't play your starters. So that could happen. But I think the week 5 bye is not necessarily an awful thing. I think we've talked about this just because I think that Brazil trip's going to take a lot out of them. And I think they might need it at that point.
Yeah, it's a long way to go after that.
It is. Yeah. There's no question it is. But I do think the schedule overall is a favorable one for them.
Yeah, you're right. I think overall you'd probably take the full schedule.
Yeah. And also, what's the let me look this up real quick here. I'm not like Zach Berman where I have the schedule for every team memorized yet, but they don't go on an airplane after November 24th. Mm-hmm. So it's at Baltimore, which is a bus or a train, probably a bus, Carolina home, Pittsburgh home, at Washington, bus trip, Dallas home, Giants home. So the last, and really before the Rams is Washington home. So the last 8 weeks, they have 1 game that they fly to.
Yeah.
And that's big. I mean, because, and the players will tell you, I mean, the flights, and we can vouch for this, they take a lot out of you, especially when it's back to back to back and long flights. So,
I would like to add, they don't go through like TSA like we do.
Right.
It's a little easier process.
Yeah. So, yeah. They have TSA at the on the field. I think they go through like right on the tarmac, but it's still to be home and be in your routine and sleep in your own bed. I think the schedule is really favorable that way once you get out of the Rams.
Yeah. Last question here from J.K. David Rube. Longtime listener, first-time asker. I've always loved the pod and look forward to each new episode. I'm here to ask the question that countless Eagle Eye fans have been waiting to ask. Can we please have an episode allowing Rube to go on every tangent possible with no reining him in? No script or agenda, just pure rabbit holes. I think I speak for most when I say it would be so fun to see where that episode starts and where it ends. No.
I think that's every episode.
That would be a hard no from me on that. And that's all we have today. If you enjoy the Eagle Eye podcast, please do us a favor. Rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, click that like
Can
button.
we talk about the Olympic surfing now?
Subscribe there as well. Want to remind you guys again on Thursday, if you're coming out to the open practice, come hang out at the Pepsi Plaza 445. Myself, Reuben, and Barrett Brooks all answering questions. Always a fun time. And we won't have a regular pod on Thursday. We'll probably try to do one Friday.
Yeah.
Off day on Wednesday. So anything else? Final words?
Nope. Look forward to seeing everyone out there on Thursday.
Sounds good. For Rube, I'm Dave. This has been Eagle Eye presented by Nissan. We'll talk to you soon.